Hi, my name is Andrea Chacon, and this is for DB3, for COM 259. So, in order to gather information about how people communicate, I decided to go to a coffee shop off campus because I figured just a little bit off campus, I might gain a different dynamic in terms of the people there, the kind of relationships, and I was just curious. So, I went to a coffee shop about 10 minutes off of campus in an apartment building. And what I found was they had the bar or the little register and everything that served the coffee. And then from there, in the inside space, they had a small area of like leather couches, like couple seats, where people were just really relaxing, reading books, chilling. And then throughout the coffee shop, they had maybe a little bar where you could tell people who just came there alone came to like sit, plug in their laptop, and just work. And then you had different tables, two people tables, four-person tables where people kind of messed around and could sit down and do a bunch of different things. But at first glance, you would guess that the structure was pretty rigid, that there was one area for relaxing, another area for like doing work, and then all in between you could find what you wanted to do. But while I was there, I witnessed people, dragging chairs around, winding cables around different chairs so they could reach a different area so they could sit in a specific spot. So the physical structure of the space didn't really dictate the way that people used it. I mean, it did to a degree, but people were flexible in that way. So while I was there, I was kind of trying to subtly glance around and look, and the one interaction that really caught my attention was a man and a woman sitting across the table. And when I first arrived at the coffee shop, I thought they were there for a job interview because vocalics of the way that the man was talking to the woman, his tone, his general demeanor led me to believe, okay, so he's trying to prove something to her, he's trying to impress her, and she's asking questions in a way that felt a little detached. So I'm like, okay, job interview. And then as I continued to sit there, write notes, do homework, I realized that they were actually on a date. And it was probably, if I had to guess, a first or second date, but there was this awkward disconnect and tension that can sometimes happen in first and second dates. And the way that they kind of carried themselves very carefully and their hand gestures, they were very deliberate. They made sure to laugh a little bit more than you probably would, respond very carefully. So someone would ask a question and then she would really overdo it sometimes and be like, wow, that's amazing, that's so cool. Even if he was just talking about, his favorite food. So I found it fascinating. They left and they gave a very awkward hug and then went to their separate cars. But yeah, it was very interesting to see that dynamic and how it took place and how at first glance I even thought it was an interview. Yeah, so that was what I observed in the coffee shop. Within my own structure of workspace, I work generally, if I'm not studying around campus or outside, I study at the desk in my room. And my desk, it's kind of has a myriad of different things on it. I'm pulling up a picture so you can see this. Basically, I don't have the most organized structure, if we can see that. So over here is my lamp. I've got my glasses, a bunch of different markers. I've got a makeup mirror, some makeup, some more books in the corner, a ton of books down here, some of them school, some of them personal, a printer, a binder, and that's with my desk organized, and even then it's fairly disorganized. So I use my desk for everything. I mean, I don't really have a set structure. I'm not like, I'm only going to work or study here. So the physical structure of my space kind of shows, I guess, that I'm fairly loose in the way that I have my habits and the way I study, because it generally depends on the kind of work I have to do or the mood I'm in. If I feel like I need to get out of the apartment to be more productive, then I'm going to do that. But if I feel like I can work in my desk, and be productive, and that's great. I have a window right outside. Let me pull this back up so you can see it. That looks across a courtyard, and if you can see, there's blinds back there. It's a kind of big window, shows a lot of light. So then during the day, I have to kind of mess with it a little bit to get the perfect just amount of light in the room so I can study properly. I think when people walk into my space and see my desk, they generally assume, wow, Andrea, you're a little disorganized. And I would agree with that statement. Um, yeah, I don't have a very specific set structure, but I know the way that I study and I know the way that I like to process information. So the way that my desk is organized works well for me. I know where things are, I know how to work it, and I've got my printer down there, so if I ever need to do anything, it's right there. I think that if I wanted to reorganize my space and send a message besides a little bit of disorganization, I would probably move some of my personal things, like my personal books, makeup stuff, off of that desk. But at the same time, because I don't only use my room and my desk exclusively for studying, um, I wouldn't really want to confine myself by not having some of my personal effects on the desk. So the way that it's structured and position works for me. So I think if I wanted to reorganize things, I would move some of the stuff, but the message that I'm sending out works generally for me, and it works for the way I study. So thank you. This was Andrea Chacon once again, signing off from Com 259. Thank you.